So hey guys, welcome to history class. I don't normally see you on video in history class, but today it's possible I may have a sub. We shall see if I could talk. Today we're going to be talking about the Articles of Confederation with yours truly, Mrs. C. As you can see, I have a lovely map of the United States of America for you on my intro with the 13 colonies-ish outlined with, my pencil finger highlighter that I use on my videos. So I'm going to cut this intro real short because there's a few folks who complain that my intros are too long. Let me see you do this on your free time. Anyway, I'm going to snap right into it, so stay tuned, folks, and let's hit the road to freedom. Talking about the Articles of Confederation today. Hey guys, so today you have an article in front of you that has the title of the Articles of Confederation, and this is a very important lesson, actually one of the most important lessons you'll learn in history. If it's anything I do all year, it's the most important thing is to give you the lessons on the United States Constitution, because these are the rules that we follow, and these are the rules that you need to know about in case you ever need to, have to present your case in a situation. So I'm going to read this article to you on the screen right here. I want you to go ahead and number these paragraphs for me real quick. That's 1. This is paragraph 2. This will be 3. And 4 is real skinny. And 5 is right down here. Okay, you guys get my message. Number the paragraphs. I made a little boo-boo. Let me fix it. There you go. So I'm going to read this to you. Please follow along. You will be expected to do work with the Articles of Confederation. And let me tell you how it works. So when the colonists declared that they wanted freedom from the British, they're like, okay, great. No longer do we need you folks. We have to figure out some rules to live by. So, even during the war, they got together and they came up with this document, piece of paper called the Articles of Confederation. So I'm going to read it with you. I may ask you to highlight. That's why you have a highlighter. Let's go back and do that. So please highlight where I highlight. And here we go. The Articles of Confederation. As soon as the 13 colonies decided to declare independence from Great Britain, they began working on a constitution. A constitution is a set of rules outlining what a government can and cannot do. They call their new constitution the Articles of Confederation. Okay, so T for timeout right there, guys. Highlight the definition of a constitution, just like I'm doing right now. This paragraph gives you a very important definition, and that is for a constitution. It's a set of rules outlining what a government can and cannot do. And also highlight the term or the phrase Articles of Confederation. This is what the first framers of the Constitution called this very early Constitution. Paragraph 2. The word confederation means alliance or union. The Articles of Confederation united the states together in a large league of friendship. They had the responsibility to help each other if they were attacked. Each state governed itself and had a great deal of freedom, power, and independence. In some ways, the states acted more like independent countries than states. Okay, so find your highlighter, and let's go back to paragraph 2 and highlight some things. So, first thing, they give you a definition of confederation, and it means alliance or union. So when you're in an alliance with somebody, that means like you're on their side. You have their back, they have your back. If you ever watch that show on TV called Survivor, they are always in an alliance with some other person on their team so they don't get voted off. That type of deal. So a confederation is an alliance. It means a partnership. They have each other's back. So another thing we should go back and highlight in paragraph 2 is this part where it says each state governed itself and had a great deal of freedom, power, and independence. In some ways, the states acted more like independent countries than states. Okay, that's important. So make sure you have those highlights. As you can tell, my highlighter is not the best highlighter on the iPad that I'm making the video on, but you can tell what I'm doing here. You need to have yours highlighted like mine. Paragraph 3. It says the national government consisted only of Congress, a one-house body of delegates with the power to make laws. Each state had one vote. Congress needed at least 9 of the 13 states to vote yes in order to pass a law. In order to amend the Articles of Confederation, every state had to agree. So, find your highlighters once again. And I want you to go back and highlight the very first thing, that Congress was a one-house body of delegates. And they had the power to make laws. Okay? So let's talk about real quick. I'm going to find my pencil. I want to circle the word delegate. Oh, that's an ugly circle. Let me try to do it better. I'm going to circle the word delegate. And real quick, I want to talk about what a delegate is. So I'm going to make a note on the side, and I want you to make the same note. A delegate is a person basically elected to represent the state. I hope your handwriting is better than mine. Try to write yours straighter than I wrote mine. And they are elected from each state. They are sent to Congress to make laws. Each state only had one vote. Highlight that. Congress needed 9 of 13 states to vote yes to pass a law. And if they wanted to amend something, it meant that every state had to agree. So I want to circle the word amend. I'm going to make my line skinnier. The word amend, I'm going to write over here. You get it on your paper however you want. It means to change. If you amend something, you change it. And the purpose is hopefully you change it to something better than it was. Okay? So paragraph 4, here we go. It says, there was no executive leader like a president to enforce laws. There was also no system of courts to interpret and apply laws. Ugh. So they had no president and basically no court. That's probably not a good thing. Paragraph 5, it says the Founding Fathers purposely made the national government very weak. They wanted their new government to be totally different from King George III's oppressive monarchy. The Articles of Confederation lasted for about 10 years. They were revised by the Continental Congress in 1787 and replaced by the Constitution we still use today. That's why it's so important, guys. We still use this piece of paper today. The Constitution has been around since 1787. Make sure you highlight that. The reason why they made this Constitution so weak in the beginning was that they wanted it to be different from anything that England was doing to them. They didn't want to do anything like King George had done to them. Okay? So that's a real quick article about the Articles of Confederation. Below, right here, in these boxes, okay, is a nice little summary of the division of powers of the Articles of Confederation. What that means is, on the left, here's what Congress can do. Here's what the states can do. And you will see some of these are the same. So on the Congress side, they can make laws. The only thing the states can do is send delegates. We talked about what a delegate was. They could wage war and establish peace. That means Congress could say, yeah, we're going to war. They could also say, yeah, nope, it's time for peace, folks. Then, on the other side, the states, they could collect taxes. That's a big one. Taxes mean money. That's what taxes mean, money. Back over on the Congress side, it says they can resolve disputes between states. So let's pretend that Maryland got in a fight with Virginia. Well, Congress can say, yeah, okay, Maryland wins, stop fighting, go away. The states, back over on the state side, could regulate trade. They could say who they weren't going to trade with and who they are going to trade with. Check this out. On both sides, not that line. Check this out. They could coin money. So what that meant, folks, is they could make money. They could print their own money. So I guarantee you there was states out there with their own money that was different from, I don't know, another state. Say you lived in Pennsylvania, you might have your own money there. But you go to Virginia, they have their own set of money. Not working out well. Back on the Congress side, right here, maintain an army. Okay, that's pretty cool. We get that. But the states, they could keep armed militias. So at all times, the states could have armed soldiers at all times. Back on the Congress side, they could establish post offices. That's good. We need our mail. Back on the state side, they could recruit troops for an army, so they could go out like those army recruiters do now and say, hey, come join the army. Yay, come help us. On the Congress's side, they can conduct foreign affairs. That means they dealt with any foreign country that wanted to deal with the United States. Back on the state side, they could create and enforce their own laws. That's pretty self-explanatory. The states made their own laws. Let's pretend speeding was legal in Pennsylvania. In Virginia, the law may be, well, you can only go 15 miles an hour. Well, in Pennsylvania, people are speeding like 90 miles an hour down just a little street. Okay. Back on the Congress side, make treaties and alliances. So that means they can make deals with other countries. Back on the state side, it says keep every power not given to Congress. We'll have to find out what that one means. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. You have some papers given to you that have 4 sections on them. I'm going to go over 2 of those sections with you. They are the Northwest Territory and the Continental Army. And I'm going to show you what you're going to do with those. So get those out, get those going with this sheet that goes with it, which is called the Strength or Weaknesses worksheet. And you will see those on my next page. So get out your things and get ready for the next part of this video. Okay guys, so find the worksheet that has the title Northwest Territory on it. You should have it. And you will notice that there's this worksheet is divided into 4 sections, and all 4 sections, front and back, have a story on them. These are things that happened while the Articles of Confederation were the laws that the 13 colonies followed. So what we're going to do is read through these, do a little bit of highlighting. I'm going to read all of them with you, but I'm going to show you how to do the work for the Northwest Territory and the Continental Army with you. I'm going to show you in this video. Then you're going to have to do the work for the taxes and the Revolutionary War little section by yourself. Once we go through a few of these, you'll see how it works. So let's get started. Find your highlighter. I'm going to read this, do some highlighting, and I'll show you how to do the work. The title of this little section is called the Northwest Territory. So before we begin, I'm going to do something really important here. Do you see all this orange? And I'm trying to trace it. This is what we're talking about as what the Northwest Territory is. And here's something crazy. If you take your pencil, draw a little line there, draw a little line here. Oh, not like that. Draw a little line here. Gosh. And you follow and you trace this line. that sure looks like Illinois. That's because it is, folks. That is Illinois. We were part of the Northwest Territory purchase that was going on during this period of time. So let's begin reading. Enough about old stories here. It says, during the Paris of Treaty, 1783, Great Britain gave an area of land called the Northwest Territory to the United States. This territory caused a few problems for the new government. For instance, settlers moved there without permission and fought with Native Americans. To make matters worse, British soldiers refused to leave the area. To solve these problems, Congress set up rules for settlers by buying the land. They passed an important law called the Northwest Ordinance, which created 5 new states. This also instructed settlers to treat Native Americans fairly and outlawed slavery in new states. Some say these laws were Congress's biggest success. Okay, so find your highlighter. Go back to the very top of where the paragraph begins, and we want to know that that Great Britain, in the Treaty of Paris, gave an area of land called the Northwest Territory to the United States. So the United States got this land from Great Britain. And you know what? There were some problems. The settlers, they moved out there without permission, and they began to fight with the Indians. And to make matters worse, the British soldiers who were out there, they were like, I'm not leaving. Tough. I'm staying here, folks. The next paragraph. The Congress tried to help, though. They tried to solve the problem. They set up some rules for the settlers to buy land. They passed the Northwest Ordinance, which did create 5 new states. We are one of them. This law also instructed settlers to treat natives fairly. Okay, duh. And it outlawed slavery. Well, yes, on paper it was outlawed, but I'm betting that not everyone followed the rules. And then the very last sentence, you don't have to underline it, but some think that this was Congress's greatest success. But really it wasn't that great. I mean, you had a ton of problems back in the first paragraph where they're talking about people went out there and they went out there without permission and they caused all kinds of problems with the natives. And then after they did that, now here we have some rules for you. You gotta follow them. So, I'm not sure what to think of the Northwest Territory. But if I go to my paper that looks like this, you should have your name on it. So go ahead and slap your name on it. Bam, there it is. Okay, so now that we've read the little section about the Northwest Territory, let's go to our worksheet that has the title Strength or Weakness and talk about the Northwest Territory. Well, we need to decide if it is a strength. Whoa, that's ugly. If it is a strength or a weakness. And here's the thing, is when we do this, we have to determine if the topic is a strength or weakness of the Articles of the Confederation, and of course circle strength or weakness and give evidence to support your claim. So if we say that the Northwest Territory was a strength, well, we need to go back to our reading and figure out evidence that's something that comes directly from the reading to support why it's a strength. So if we think about the Northwest Territory, if we go through here, I mean, in the beginning, at first, if this paragraph, it is pretty shady. But down here, Congress came through and they're like, we need some rules and, to get these settlers to treat the natives fairly and also to outlaw slavery, which, is a good thing. So in our thinking as 7th graders, we know that those benefits are not weaknesses, Chaparro, they are strengths. And our evidence can come directly from the text, and it will be that Congress, write this with me, and I forgot my pen today, guys, so my writing is super sloppy. Congress successfully, I don't know if I can fit that up. Let's put Congress set up rules for settlers. They created states. Created 5 new states. Well, that's not too bad. Bingo, that is evidence that you can go back to your reading on this page and see that it supports the fact that we're calling the Northwest Territory a strength. The next reading that we're going to do is on the Continental Army. So listen to me as I read this. Let's highlight together, and we will do our strength or weakness card together as well. So, the Continental Army. During the Revolutionary War, the Continental Army desperately needed soldiers and supplies like clothes and food. However, under the Articles of Confederation, Congress could not draft soldiers or collect money through taxes. We know that from the reading before. Instead, they had to ask the states for what they needed without any power to make them obey. Many states refused to give the army soldiers or money. As a result, the army nearly starved. So let's go back and highlight. So, in this paragraph, it's important to know that the Continental Army, they were desperate. They needed things. And under the Articles of Confederation, the Congress could not draft soldiers or collect money through taxes. That's a major deal. And they did not have the power to make states obey. And states just simply refused to give the soldiers, or to give the army soldiers or money. They're like, tough. We don't have to. We're not going to. Next paragraph. After the war, the government could not pay war veterans. Hundreds of former soldiers protested in streets. Some even plotted to overthrow the government in a coup called the Newburgh Conspiracy, which was stopped by George Washington. So if you were a veteran and you just got out of the war and suffered terribly, if you could not be paid, highlight that, you would be mad. And people were so upset they even wanted to protest the government and overthrow the government. If they overthrow the government, they kick out the leaders. Okay? So now what I want you to do is go to your strength, your strength or weakness worksheet. And right now we're going to talk about the Continental Army. So if we think about the Continental Army and what we just read, I didn't hear anything that was very positive. So we would call the Continental Army a weakness. We can circle that. And it was a weakness because Congress, write this with me, could not fund the army or, that's not the word or, Mrs. Chaparro, or pay veterans. Okay, write this with me. The Congress could not fund the army or pay veterans. So that means that basically they had no money. Now you have to ask yourself, if you're using this as evidence, can you go back to the text and find this? Well, as you know, yes. Yes, you can. Okay? So what's going to happen next after you have completed these two with me? I'm going to read for you the little section about taxes, as you see here, and about the Revolutionary War. I'm going to help you highlight, but it's on your own to figure out if you believe that the taxes and the Revolutionary Revolutionary War were strengths or weaknesses. So here we go with taxes. It says, after the War for Independence, the United States had significant war debt. One of the government's biggest weaknesses was that Congress could not collect taxes. Under the Articles of Confederation, only states were allowed to tax the people. All Congress could do was ask the states for money and hope they obeyed. They often ignored Congress's request. Ooh, a lot of juicy stuff in this paragraph. So find your highlighter. Let's go through and highlight. One of the biggest weaknesses, ooh, it even tells us the word weakness, was that Congress could not collect money or taxes. Congress could ask the states for money and hoped that they obeyed. That's a pretty big deal. Okay? Make sure you have these things highlighted. One thing that Congress did have the power to do was print money. Congress printed paper bills known as continentals. However, they printed too many bills and new money became worthless. In 1786, Daniel Shea led an armed uprising to protest increased taxes and the poor economy. Under the Articles of Confederation, under the Articles, Congress was able to pay for troops to put down the rebellion. So, some more weaknesses in this next paragraph. It says, not that, Mrs. Chaparro. Right here, they printed paper money called continentals, but they printed too many bills, and the money became worthless. Okay? So, what you need to do now is decide whether taxes were a strength or weakness, and go to your task card and fill it out with evidence from these two paragraphs. I will point out to you that your text actually uses the word weakness, so let your text guide your thoughts. If it says weakness in the article, it's probably a weakness. Okay, our next topic that we're going to read about is the Revolutionary War. So make sure you have your highlighters ready. Remember, we're trying to find out if this is a strength or a weakness of the Articles of Confederation. So it says, the Revolutionary War. As soon as the 13 colonies decided to declare independence from Great Britain, they began working on a constitution. They needed a rule book for what the government could and could not do. They called their new constitution the Articles of Confederation. So we need to highlight that. We probably already knew this, but let's highlight that they called it, that they needed a rule book for what they could and could not do, and called it the Articles of Confederation. Okay, next paragraph. It says the articles included the basics needed to go to war with Great Britain. Congress could declare war, conduct foreign affairs, and make treaties. Although weak in other areas, the articles made it possible for the United States to win the war. So the articles provided for the basics needed to go to war. They could declare war. They can conduct foreign affairs and make treaties. But look what it says. It says, although weak in other areas, the articles made it possible for the United States to win the war. So, do you really think that this is a weakness, or are there more strengths? I don't know. You decide. This word weak is kind of misleading. Make sure you read what's actually here, all the good things they did, and go back to your worksheet on strength or weaknesses. Circle whether it's a strength or a weakness, and write down a piece of evidence. Alright guys, must go now. Peace out. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in class. Goodbye.